Welcome to another episode of Best of America by Horseback. I'm Tom C. with Kristen Bisco. We're about an hour east of Knoxville, pretty close to the North Carolina border, at a place called French Broad Outpost Ranch. We're right along the French Broad River. This is a spectacular place. It's absolutely gorgeous.
They've got wonderful facilities, beautifully decorated, everything you could possibly want.
One thing we enjoy doing back home in Virginia is cattle drives and team penning, and they do that here as well. If you've never done it, they'll teach you how to do it here.
Horses are wonderfully trained. Also, they've got trails for every level of rider. Beautiful trails with mountain views, views of the river. Just wonderful riding here.
This place is absolutely gorgeous. We have friends, new and old, that have joined us for this particular show. Sit back and relax and enjoy Best of America by Horseback as we're in Tennessee near the North Carolina border at the French Broad Outpost Ranch. You stay tuned, we'll be right back.
On this episode of Best of America by Horseback, we are at the French Broad Outpost Ranch near Del Rio, Tennessee. It is a dude ranch in the Smoky Mountains, about halfway between Knoxville, Tennessee and Asheville, North Carolina, not far off of I-40. It is an authentic dude ranch in the eastern U.S. with all of the amenities of the western ranches and more. The lodge is beautifully constructed and decorated to give you the feel of the Old West, right down to the wooden plank flooring.
Well, when we built this building, the hotel, we wanted it to look like a John Wayne movie, because that's all we ever watched as kids, basically, John Wayne movies, because my dad was a cowboy. So, you could stand up on the balcony and look down, or you could look up at the balcony. Kind of like one of those movies that you watch. We wanted it to look like that when you got in it. If you look down at the floors, we did the floors the old-fashioned way where the cracks are still in them. So when you hear people walk across, like in some of the John Wayne movies, you hear their feet clomping. It's because it's floors like that.
What I like probably the most is walking on these wooden floors in boots. Yeah. It's just like you're in an old Western.
Yes. And you can walk on them, right? You can wear your boots, and if they're a little dirty, they're a little dirty, but you could still walk around here and feel that, you're at home.
This place is one of the most beautifully decorated places I've ever seen from one coast to the other. Who brought in the beauty of this place?
It was my wife. She just has that ability, and we just go with it. So it's all on her. She's the decorator, and it ain't me.
I think Shawn and his wife have really done a beautiful job in terms of collecting antiques, decorating. It's very, very meticulous. You're just drawn to certain areas in each of the rooms. I did not expect this facility to be so beautiful.
This is a fabulous place. I thought the building was gorgeous. And then when I got inside, the decorations, it is all very country, very rustic, very homey. Everything feels very comfortable.
It's over and above. They've done a gorgeous job on the inside.
Just amazing. I mean, we love rustic. We're in a rustic room. We've got the rustic buildings, the rustic dining, everything seems so authentic. And the long porch with the rocking chairs, it's just, it's a great environment. Looking out at the mountains and the horses, I just don't know how you could beat it.
People that come here ride your horses, and everybody, particularly horse people, are always concerned of the quality of the horses. You have excellent horses. Tell me about your horses. You're pretty proud of them.
Well, the first anomaly is they're all Arabs. And when people hear that, they go, "Are you crazy? Those horses are taking people out?" Well, I have a pretty doggone good safety record because we use natural horsemanship. We train them to get over their fear, and we treat them like family. So they treat the guests like family.
But it goes beyond that. We were riding near the railroad track. In fact, we crossed the railroad track today. Just after we crossed, here comes a 6-engine freight train. Either your horses are blind and deaf, or nothing bothers them. you know, the riders are like, here comes a train, I hear a train coming. Horses could care less, and these horses are conditioned to anything.
And that's the natural horsemanship training. You're not just working on certain stimuli like a sack or a bag or something. You're working on reversing the way they inherit fear, to where instead of just moving their feet off to some other location like they're born to do, they actually will turn and face their fear.
Now, when the guests come here, you take a great amount of care, and the staff takes a great amount of care to introduce horses, to say where we're going, what we're doing. It's not a blind trail ride. We're going to do a cattle drive. We're going to be crossing this or crossing that. We'll be doing this and doing that. So they're well informed, well educated. Is that one of the secrets to your safety program?
I think so. I always said when I went by stables, I didn't like the fact that those horses were saddled and standing there all day long. So my first thing when I got here was, I'm gonna go get the horses in and out on every ride. It may take a little longer, may not make as much money, but to me it was more humane for the horse, to where they weren't just standing there all day long, either in the sun or in a building even, with this saddle on them all day long. So that's why I started teaching my guests that that was part of their routine. I'm gonna assign you the horse after we interview you. So if you've ridden 0 times, you get a horse that's never ridden. No, you get one that can take a 0 rider. Or if you've ridden 1,000 times, you want something with some oomph in it. You don't want a deadhead. But still, we're gonna go out into the pasture, halter it, walk it back to the hitching post, groom and saddle it, ride it. When it gets back, you're gonna unsaddle it. We're gonna put the bridles on and off for you, because that's a little bit more difficult. And then that way your bond with the horse is just stronger.
I'm not sure if the horses don't mind that attention, because I was watching one guest, the horse was in the field. He didn't even have to go get it. The horse was like, right here. I'm ready to be brushed, groomed, taken care of. And it was really kind of neat to watch that horse walk up and say, okay. He recognized who its caretaker was this week.
It also could have something to do with the peppermints.
The little peppermints we all, okay.
Yeah, they're sweet tooth horses, you know. I gotta have my peppermint or I'm not gonna do nothing.
Dee Dee is a peppermint addict. She comes to the fence and starts licking her lips in preparation for being caught. And I always have a pocket full of peppermints just in case. But then Steve has it down pat. He's learned to imitate her. She'll start talking to you, and she's very impatient about you getting the peppermints unwrapped. And she has learned how many she gets when, but she loves them.
That's one thing I liked about this ranch, because I've only been to one other ranch, but they would saddle up your horse for you. You didn't have as much time or contact with your horse. Here you have to go get your horse, you have to saddle your horse, and you feel like you make more of a connection.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
yeah. I liked that part. And then, of course, you have to unsaddle it, take it back to the pasture. So you're spending a lot more time with your horse, and you feel like more of a connection.
Absolutely. I think that's great. It's just a better relationship with you and him.
I really enjoyed the fact that I had an opportunity to tack up the horse. You know, again, in Western, because I ride English, so that was a whole brand new learning experience.
We've had more fun standing around there, putting our horses together. It's been a real team building experience, just laughing at each other at the things that we did wrong.
When we come back, we will ride the trails and drive some cattle at the French Broad Outpost Ranch in Tennessee. We are at the French Broad Outpost Ranch in Del Rio, Tennessee. This dude ranch has everything you need for a great horseback vacation in the Smoky Mountains. They have horses to suit any level rider, great Western accommodations, beautifully decorated, and beautiful mountain scenery that seems to change hour by hour.
What's your favorite trail out here to ride?
Probably the White Trail. It's one of the higher ones on the mountain. It's got some narrower parts like on ridges. You can kind of wind in between the trees, and it's got some nice switchbacks, some steeper parts, and it flattens out in places and go through a little creek ditch. It's got nice views. You can see the river and the tomato fields that are on the other side and all the mountains. It's real pretty up there.
I loved riding at this location. Everything is evergreen. Particularly today, actually, I think was my best ride. We rode by the river, and as we were, riding by the river, everything was just really, really quiet. And you could hear the river kind of like tumbling over the rocks. Then I started looking at the trees, and the way the sun was hitting the trees, you could just see the different colors of greens, the shades, lighter and darker. It just felt so serene, and just the river and the evergreens and the trees, and it smelled really good too.
I can just imagine when the fall colors come in with the mountains, and then going up on the mountain trails and actually getting to see a even better view out as you climb the mountain.
Yeah, and they have tons of rhododendrons. I'm sure in the spring it must be beautiful. As we were going up the mountain, every turn you could see these huge rhododendrons. Where I live, they don't get that big because they die off. But here, these things were 6 or 7 feet tall.
Here at the ranch, they use all Arabians in their herd. And a lot of times they've got a bad reputation for being a hot horse. What has been your experience here at the ranch? I know you've had horses before in your lifetime.
Right, always quarter horses. The Arabians here are supremely trustworthy. They're easy to catch. They know their business. They'll stand or they'll come right to you. As far as being hot, these guys are very safe. I mean, they know the trails. They know better where they're supposed to be than we do. The fact that there were horses here that I didn't have to bring my horse was the plus.
We've got nice horses at home, and we really thought about it. Do we really want to go someplace without our horses? And everything else sounded so nice about this place. We decided to do it, and by the end of the first morning, we didn't really think about not having our horses because they're great horses. We did cattle driving with these horses. They did great. When we team pinned, they put me on a different horse because my horse was not suited for team pinning.
Right.
And team pinning was great. So, they're very flexible. They know their horses. They know how to match them with people. Shawn and Addison, they just made us feel safe. And, I've done a lot of trail riding and I've ridden those kinds of trails before, but there were some beginners here. And from what I could tell, they were safe and comfortable just based on the way we started out and kind of eased into it.
The cattle drive seemed to be quite a hit here.
The cattle drive is really where people can be the freest in their riding, even if they've never ridden or if they're an advanced rider. And that's their one time when they can kind of move around and you feel independent finally.
We do cattle drives at our farm, and I was pleasantly surprised to see something that we have not done. That was when Addison gets out the chalkboard and said, here's the plan. Stampede's not involved. This is where one set of riders, another set, how we'll encapsulate the cows, how we'll move them, where we're going to move them to. So that made it a whole lot easier for the riders, and I was impressed with that.
I did that after a couple of years because I thought, this is something people don't do every day. So they need some instruction. So we started making it up on the board. We draw the little mountains and the railroad and the road and kind of give them a blueprint. And I joke sometimes, it's like going into the room with Vince Lombardi. We want a seal here and a seal there, and we want the cows to come through that. So it kind of works out that the more information you give somebody, the better they actually do. So that's why we do the board.
I had never done a cattle drive, didn't have the first idea of what I was doing, but I actually had a lot of fun, and I thought that was very enjoyable.
That was a blast. Yeah, that was our first cattle drive. We really enjoyed that.
That was so much fun. And I think all of us together, working together, was fun. We just had fun together.
Well, you and Rick really brought up the end there. Really were pushing those cattle.
He was getting into it.
Yep. Come on, guys. Come on. Yep.
That was the first time I've driven cattle, and it was just a blast. You just sort of experiment and see how the cattle react and work as a team. And we did it a couple of times back and forth, and it was just a new experience, and it was lots of fun.
Of course, one of the essence of having a cattle drive is having team pinning. So you do a basic team pinning to introduce it, and everybody just has a blast.
Our team pinning is a little fudge work. Out of our herd of 24, we cut a cow or two, usually one. and we chase it up to the box. But the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more fun you can have at it.
Slow it down a little bit. You're running the weight off that cow. Easy, easy. You're gonna do it, you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. Yay!
Mary Ellen, we'll speed up the tape on that one.
The food here is family style.
Family style, that's correct.
Excellent menus. Everything is super clean, well prepared.
It's like going to eat at your grandma's house. Because the food is going to be like grandma. We want to fill you up with good old-fashioned food and to where when you get done eating it, you say, you know, I haven't had that in 25 years.
The food is outstanding. I mean, 3 full meals a day, and it's home cooking meals. You can tell that Z, the chef, I mean, she takes pride in her work, and the food is very, very good. The people that I've met here really are special people, make you laugh.
Being able to sit down and have the family style meals, we really got to know each other.
You're quite a host and entertainer, but beyond that, you're really serious about helping people ride horses and overcome mistakes, and you're very dedicated to that. So I already asked some guests and they said they don't hurt when they get off the horse. What is your secret?
My secret was I failed at riding myself for 13 years. I learned how to ride by experimenting. Somehow I had cued into the law of physics. Once I started training folks what I learned, we started getting people that had never ridden before that at the end of the week could make the galloping ride.
And on the first day, Shawn took us through some tips. Toes up really takes weight off the stirrups. It makes you find your balance. My joints are somewhat arthritic. I often end a ride with sore legs, and it immediately relieved that.
When he asked us to lope using his methods, it was the first time I ever felt comfortable loping without my feet in the stirrups. Before then, I didn't have the confidence. I didn't think I had the balance before then.
Shawn taught us how to lean back and how to balance ourselves so that we are not beating the saddle. You actually learn that you can trot without thinking, when I get off, I won't be able to walk.
I hear them starting to play music. I think they're going to teach Tom how to do the Virginia Reel. Let's go find out.
Riding is the main activity at the French Broad Outpost Ranch, but they do have lots of things for the non-rider. The hotel saloon has poker tables, checkers, puzzles, and it's also the dance hall on Friday nights. They have a game room with a pool table, chess, air hockey, and foosball, as well as an outdoor pool. The long porch on the front of the lodge is the favorite gathering place to read a book, have a cup of coffee while you watch the morning clouds, or just watch the horses grazing. The rooms are all decorated with warm and inviting decor. Owners Shawn and Joanne Gannon have thought of everything to make your vacation one that you will enjoy and want to return to time and time again.
What was the most fun you had this week?
Well, I really enjoyed the waltz with Gary. That was great.
Oh, good.
I really enjoyed that. Nobody dances around me, and so that was fun.
I've loved the trail rides, and the trails are very, very pretty. I let my horse do her job, and she knows where to put her feet, she knows where to put her head. Beautiful horse. I want to take her home. I want to put her in my pocket and take her home.
It just couldn't have been better. It's just been a fabulous week.
For more information on the French Broad Outpost Ranch in Del Rio, Tennessee, you can log on to FrenchBroadDudeRanch.com or call them at 800-995-7678 or 423-487-3120.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Best of America by Horseback. Another great location that you can come and ride. And if people want to ride with us in the future, how do they do it?
You can go to our website, bestofamericabyhorseback.com, click on Rides and Events, and you can see all of the places where you can join us. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Best of America by Horseback.
Thanks for watching.